Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to another Warhammer 2 Total War guide. I've said that all back to front, but that's fine. Today we are looking about more of the... Forget the Skaven slaves and the clan rats. This is the good stuff. This is the upper class infantry, if there's such a thing, for the Skaven. We are looking today at the Stormvermin in both their varieties. We've also got the Death Runners and the Plague Monks and the Plague Monks with Sensorbearers. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at the models first. As you can see, the Plague Monks with Sensorbearers just look amazing. You wouldn't want to fight them, and they're dirty. And then you've got, the junior Plague Monks. They haven't got a Censor Bearer. They've just got maces and swords and all that stuff. And they are itching for a fight because, they're frenzy, so they're going to be up for shit. Then we've got the classic elite infantry of the Skaven army, the highly armoured Stormvermin. Very cool looking models. Then we've got them with the halberd variety, which looks badass. And then we have the Death Runners, who are basically a whole unit of assassins, which is quite a fruity. So, first off, let's have a look at the Plague Monks and the Sensorbearers. We'll compare them both directly. So, here's the Plague Monks. These, for fluff reasons, I love Plague Monks. When I collected Skaven about 20 years ago, because I'm old, for the tabletop version, it was a themed Plague Monk. Oh, I can't say it for some reason. Plague Monk army. So I had like a Plague Priest and a bunch of Plague Monks and Censor Bearers and Poison Wing Globadiers and all sorts of stuff that was really good because I just love the models. So they are anti-infantry. They do a shit ton of damage. They also have frenzy. They just don't look at their armour, right? Just don't pretend they've got big suits of armour on because they really haven't. They come in units of 120. And they've got 9,000 hit points, 10 armour, leadership of 68, weirdly, and a speed of 42 as all good Ratman speed, melee attack of 28, defense of 24, weapon strength of 32, bonus versus infantry of 7. It's actually quite a big chunk of percentage there, and a little bit of armour piercing as well. Okay charge bonus. They've got, obviously, the physical resistance of 15%, because they're nutcases and they don't give a shit. And they hide in forest, and they've got the strength in numbers buff while they're above 50%, the scurry away bonus to speed, and frenzy, which helps them do a shit ton of damage. And as long as their leadership is high, that you'll get those immune psychology is always nice. And then moving on, the upgraded unit, we've got the Sensorbearers, and they've got the Plague Sensor, their armour piercing, damage dealer, frenzy, very similar, but just sort of an upgraded. They've got 240 more health, same amount of armour, 4 leadership, 2 attack, 12 weapon strength, 12 charge bonus. The big thing here being the armour piercing nature, 31 armour piercing, so very different targets that you'd go after. And also they have the contaminate, minus 10 leadership for anything they hit, and also they do magic damage. So out of these two units, obviously the Plague Monk Sensorbearers are more expensive, a better unit, but I think they're well worth every penny. I much prefer these. They're both good. Frenzy is very good. The trouble with having these, especially if your army is themed around these dudes, is because they die quite quickly. And if they die quite quickly, and if they're dying quite quickly, their morale is going to drop quite quickly. So therefore, they're going to lose their frenzy quite quickly and become ineffective. So it's very hard to have like a full line of these dudes, because if you go up anything that's really tanky and just doesn't die quickly and starts whittling you down your numbers, you're going to really struggle. So even in a Plague Monk heavy army, you might want to add some units, something that can hold that middle ground a bit better, something like maybe even the Stormvermin, or just Clan Rats, or mix in some Rat Ogres or something like that, just so you've got a bit more of staying power early on, and then maybe use these as the sort of secondary charges or the flank charges just to wipe across. Imagine if you had, say, 4, 5, 6 units of Clan Rats and Stormvermin as your main line, and you engage the enemy, you're fighting, and then you have 2 units of these Plague Monks on either flank, and they just sweep in from the flank and just, meet in the middle of eventually after they've wiped everybody out. I think Plague Monks, I know I've got my own personal bias, but I think they're amazing. So let's talk next about the Stormvermin. So this is very much the opposite end of the scale, really. So they're slightly bigger units. They're 160 in their unit. They've got 9,700 hit points, 90 armour, Leadership of 60. Decent speed, melee damage, and attack and defense is very, very good. They don't do what's the armor piercing? Yeah, 9 armor piercing. So they're not really that for that, but you've got the halberds for that. Charge bonus. They've got the scurry away. They've got the strength in numbers, and they've got the hide in forest. Then you've got your halberds, which is your anti-large charge defense and all that good stuff. As you can see, it's 27 and it's 18. Armor piercing, but a massive 15 against large, so very, very specialised, these guys. You don't really want to be engaging normal guys because it's such a waste of the damage they could potentially do. So for me, if you're going to go Stormvermin heavy, you go sword and shield as your standard line, and you have these basically targeting the big stuff to wipe them out. But if you're an elite army builder like I prefer to be, then either of these 2 units is good. You can mix them up. You could have, 5 units of Stormvermin, 5 units of Plague Months, and you'd have an absolutely scary front line. Not the normal fragile slave army that a lot of players use. That's the other way you could go. Or you could do that, have those slaves, and use these as your elite sort of flank charges and stuff like that. Or have 1 unit in the middle just to sort of bolster how crap your slaves are. So finally, we're going to look at the Death Runners. Very cool models. They look... The only issue I have, normally I love the models, and I think they're very, very good, as always, but these look a little bit too much like the assassin cat hero, because he's basically almost the same, but with green bits on his poisony stuff on his blades. But forgetting the fact there's a guy that looks just like him, they look amazing in the unit. So let's look at them first. So we've got how many? 100 in a unit. I'm going to stop farting about with the unit here in a minute. They've got Weeping Blades. That just sounds dirty. Weeping Blades devour armour. A couple of slashes is all that's needed for the corrosive venom to eat through even the thickest plants. I was going to say plants, that would be rubbish. They've got Stalk, meaning they can hide in any terrain. They've got Concealment Bomb. When a bomb is smashed, a dark smoke curls out, concealing those who wish to hide and choking everyone else. And they've also got the Dodge. So let's have a look. They're the smallest unit out of all the ones we've looked at today. They've only got 100. They've got low hit points, low armour, decent leadership, very, very good speed for a foot-based Skaven. He's got a melee attack of 36, which is the Weeping Blade minus 50 armour, which is absolutely massive, especially against high armoured dudes, obviously. That's quite a stupid thing to say, really. But I was going to say about the high elves and the elves in general having their armour. Melee defense of 28, weapon strength of 30, 22 of that is armour piercing. So along with that, you're going to shred people. So they have the physical resistance of 30%, which is very nice, because they're quick-sees. They've got Vanguard deployment, which is excellent, and along with Stalk, which means they can hide, they can really be good ambush predators. And then they've got the strength in numbers when they're above 50%. They've got bonuses, they've got the scurry away, but they also have the Concealment Bomb, which basically is a smoke grenade that covers their tracks, hides units, and all that sort of good stuff. They'll only spot you if you're close. So, obviously, to point out the very obvious, these aren't your frontline guys. Of course not. They're going to die quite quickly in a frontal, full-on fight with normal units of infantry. These guys are your scouts. These guys are your hide off in a flank, in some trees, behind a hill, over there somewhere. Just wait into, if this is our line here, you want them to be sitting here. They can hide in any terrain, but you want them just off there. You don't want to get them too close because they will be spotted. And then let the enemies join, or work out where the enemies are going, and then you commit, after the main enemies have clashed together, you commit the Death Runners to either... Because remember, this debuff helps everybody. So even some poor little slave or clan rat is going to start doing a lot more damage against high armoured troops because you've doshed them one with your contamination. It lasts I'm looking at the wrong bloody, not contamination. What is it called? Now I'm just being an idiot. Where is it? Am I going? Oh, it's there. Remember, so you only have to hit the unit for a little bit, and you get 35 seconds of massive armor debuff. Even against special characters, that helps with taking down those things. You just don't want them stuck in a fight for very long. You want them to come in, sweep up, debuff the enemy, kill some dudes, Get out. Don't get caught up in the fight. Leave that to the clan rats and the stormvermin and the plague monks and all that sort of stuff. Your guys is to get in and out nice and quick. They've got decent speed, and they've got this concealment bomb as well to help them hide again. Very, very good. Very effective unit. I'd probably take 1 or 2 units of these in every army, just because they're so much fun to use. There's something a bit different. Right, so there is our elite guides to the special units of the Skaven army. And the next video is going to be about the missile units, and there's a shit ton of options in the missile unit category, so make sure you join me for that. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it. Comment below of which your favourite of these units we've talked about today are. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.